Welcome to First Issue Club.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, let's do it. We can do the intro.
Comic books are cool and fun. Sometimes they're hard, which is why we're here to talk you through them as a club.
Hey, Randy, what books are we covering this week?
Hey everybody, Randy Newman here. We're covering 20XX on Image and Kill Whitey Donovan on Dark Horse. I think this doesn't sound like Randy Newman.
You have stayed
so much like
true north. I've been worried you were going to lean into Kermit this whole time, but you've kept it tight.
All right, everybody. I gotta go now. I got another songs to make up for other Pixar movies. But my friends here at First Issue Club.
What's funny is we only know one Randy Newman song.
Yeah, it's just all various versions of You Got a Friend in Me.
Well, when you grow up in New York like I did, you got a lot to pick from random people coming into your life and affecting you in certain ways, and you really get a spectrum of life in America, and that's kind of what I want all my songs to be.
What a sincere response.
So that's kind of like my major influences and motivation for like most of my songs, you know? And like toys coming to life. Anyway, thanks, buds, for having me on and to talk a little bit before the show. I gotta go hang out with my buddy Jimmy Fallon and the Roots. But before I go, I just want to do this one thing because I've always wanted to do it. Let's get this podcast started.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Randy.
Oh,
Bye, guys.
What a pal.
Randy
What a
away.
He turned into vapor.
Just a puff of smoke.
Oh, unbelievable.
Our good friend Randy Newman. Thanks for stopping by,
Yeah.
buddy. Longtime fan of the show.
Yeah, it was nice to have him.
Finally, he was leaving reviews, and he kept leaving reviews. And I don't think he got that you could only leave one review on iTunes.
Oh, no.
So it just kept replacing his old one.
And that
Poor
didn't help
Randy.
the algorithm at all.
It didn't.
I realized that until he was here, I was confusing him and Neil Diamond.
Did you want Neil Diamond?
I think Neil Diamond has more hits.
Oh, it depends on who you talk to.
So are we really going with the Randy Newman intro to this?
Nah, we'll do nothing.
I see no reason why not.
Yeah.
to.
I thought it was
I like
great.
it too. Yeah,
Fuck.
Randy Newman away.
Well, the only news I can think of is a book we're covering today is already optioned for a movie.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
That's stupid.
Yes, it's like an action movie, right? It's going to be an action movie.
Western.
It's going to have to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it's more colonial than it is Western, but it's definitely got that feel to it, judging by the cover and some
Yeah.
of the art design.
So Kill Whitey Donovan is going to be a movie, and it got optioned today.
Yeah.
Let me. I don't think this is going to step on my take of the book because we're probably going to talk about more about what the book's about in that segment. But I couldn't get my hands on this at my shop, and I know you guys saw some people buy multiple copies of this at your shop,
Right.
Which is a phenomenon that happens all the time when something gets optioned before it releases.
Right.
I'm glad I don't own this. I mean, that steps on the conversation a little bit, but it's kind of crazy that people super hype these things and buy tons of copies of them, and then they're
Before they even read them.
okay comic books
At best.
Best.
at best.
That's the name of the game, baby.
Yeah,
That's the world we live in.
it is.
The
isn't
Mall,
it?
Planet of the Nerds. Fucking take your pick.
It's kind of sad that people aren't reading comic books for comic book sake.
Well, and good
Yeah.
stories are why people started coming to them to option it anyway.
yeah.
You're going to lose that if you start weeding people out, not giving them a chance to tell a good story.
Well, also, wouldn't the books themselves just die if I've got an idea that's like probably going to get optioned? Why even go through the comic book stage of it?
Right.
Why don't you just pitch that to someone
Just
in
to a
Hollywood?
movie.
Yeah.
It's not like having like
Cut Scout Comics out of it.
60,000, maybe 40,000 like issues of it on Scout Comics is gonna make the movie do better.
Right. Not at all.
I think maybe they just see the potential of dual income. They can get income from some kind of comic book and then movie in revenue as well.
I don't think they're factoring.
I think it's
that
a
in.
wash on the comic.
Yeah,
I could care less how it does.
I think it's a really good. It's like
Storyboard.
Storyboard. It's a really good storyboard for them to have the movie.
Right. That's a good idea. I mean, I'm sorry. That's a good point. Yeah.
Okay, here's another part of this conversation. The Kitchen got made into a huge blockbuster. It was a flop. But prior to that movie even flopping, you could buy the first issue of that for like $8 on eBay. It didn't inflate the price. It's got mega Hollywood stars in it. Everyone knows this movie's coming. Big commercials, prime time on TV. It's not selling for any more money.
Somebody told me that along those lines, because Monstrous is shooting up. We talked about that.
Yeah.
That the Monstrous that HBO is producing is not the same Monstrous.
Oh my God, really?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And people just think it's in production,
Yes.
so the book's selling really high?
Yeah. Well, because with that
That's funny.
that book I think got purchased, optioned in some way.
Yep.
And now they're like, oh, The Monstrous is getting made on HBO.
Well, good luck making something called Monstrous,
Or Monstrous, yeah.
when there's a show on HBO called The Monstrous,
The
or
Monstrous.
Monstrous coming out. Like, no fucking way it's going to happen.
Right. Like, did Roots or Bitter Root? Bitter Root got optioned.
It got optioned. I haven't heard.
See, that's
much
the other
from
that's
it.
the other thing. The weirdness of like this optionville that's happening. Like, it's more beneficial for people to just grab options. Like maybe it's like $500,000 to be like, yep, I own that.
That's what it is. Option doesn't mean being made.
It just means I own the rights to it.
Yeah. So no one else can make it.
I have the option to do something.
What is
with
the
this
cheapest?
First.
Can we buy an option of something? What's the cheapest option? Could we buy it for like $1,000?
No.
Just like some shitty little like shredder in hell.
Oh God, no. No, there's no way.
But what?
the options to Shredder in Hell would cost a ton.
Okay,
Like millions.
Yeah.
okay, but think about like some shitty ass book, Unit 44. No offense to that book, but if we went back to it and said, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna option this for $1,000." I bet they say yes.
I bet they say no.
There's no way.
If I'm Unit,
Because then they lawyer up.
if
They
I'm-
lawyer up and go, well, if you guys are going to buy this to make a movie, my client wants not only more money, but more stake in how much they get from merchandising. and-
I'd say
So-
1,050.
So I think we could get the option for something if we just make it a terrible deal for us. But it'd be fun to say we own the option of
Yes,
something.
yeah.
So we'd give somebody $500 for the option to create their comic book, but say if we do create this movie, you're going to get 90% of the income.
Right, yeah.
Of the earnings.
Yeah.
Anyone would take that.
We should totally
and we'd
do it.
make it on the internet.
Yeah, and it has to be like a shitty book. But then, oh my God, that's so fucking smart, too, of them to be like, this book got optioned by these four dumbasses with a podcast.
By First Issue Club Productions.
Because they don't need to say who it's. I think you don't ever say who it's optioned by, right? There's probably an
There
NDA.
is. No.
Sometimes. Okay.
Sometimes they'll say it.
Yeah, you're right. Okay.
But when I've gone to read through who's optioned what, and the list of producers is just gobbledygook.
yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
no
What production
clue who
company?
any of these people are.
Has it ever said First Issue Club?
It's never said First Issue Club, unfortunately.
Leaning Chair Productions.
But
Who?
I would love to see that.
Let's.
Get this.
Party start. Wait.
Party?
Party?
Should we bring Randy Newman in to do this part? He loves it.
Yeah.
Well, if he can vaporize. I don't know if he can. Is
let's
always
wish him
listening
back.
to us. Okay, so we look in a mirror and then we all say his name 3 times. Okay.
yeah.
I got the mirror out.
All right.
Can everybody see themselves?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Randy Newman.
Randy Newman. Randy Newman.
Hey, everybody.
Whoa!
I can't believe that worked.
What's going on?
Hey, Randy.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks for coming back on the pod.
It was wonderful to have conjured you.
Yeah, well, you know the old rule. Say it 3 times and I'm fine.
How is life in the Big Apple?
Oh, you know, many lives intertwining with one another. It's a beautiful weave of webs and a cottonwood and a quilt and everything else.
You working on any new productions recently?
I got a couple songs rattling around in my head.
Do you want to maybe see if you could make our intro into a song?
I thought you'd never ask. Let's get this podcast started. Let's get this podcast started. I got my club and I got my books. We're gonna read them and take a look. My friends are cool and I'm a ghost. Let's get this party started. Podcast.
Is Randy Newman dead?
You heard it
very
here
much
first.
alive. Goodbye, friend.
Oh, he's faded into the abyss again.
Oh, he's a busy man.
All right. First up, we got Kill Whitey Donovan by Sydney Duncan and Natalie Barahona. I did it.
Yeah.
Kill Whitey came out on Dark Horse. Caitlin, tell us about this book.
All right. So a colonial/frontier woman and a young slave woman both make some risky moves in order to resist becoming owned by the same man in similar ways, who is the titular character, Whitey Donovan. Hattie, the slave woman, wants her way to freedom, whereas Anna, the fiancée colonial woman, wants revenge as Whitey mistreated her younger sister, ultimately leading to her suicide and destroying her family. This is going to be a 5-issue miniseries, and it promises to tackle subjects including suicide, slavery, sexual assault, and more.
Whoa.
By a duo female creative team.
Yes.
It sounds like a kooky soap opera.
Yeah. This really is a new sitcom coming out on NBC.
The cover of this book looks like it's going to be super violent, and then that it got optioned into like an action movie, but there wasn't like a ton of action in this comic book.
Not
No.
in this first.
Some dogs got shot.
And then Hattie gets shot.
Yes.
At the end.
The big reveal. We talked about this
She's
a little.
not immortal.
She's not a vampire.
You know what? Finally, a book that doesn't delve into the supernatural as a plot twist.
About goddamn time.
We talked about this or something like it about a week or so ago on either this or a Patreon, where you do this thing where you kill your main character or one of your main characters in the beginning of a book, or they're mortally wounded, and you either blew your wad or it's a promise that, man, this is about to get really crazy. Like, this is going to go places that you never expected because we just fast forwarded to the ending you thought you might have gotten.
Wait, you think she's dead?
I don't think
I was
she's-
kidding.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think she's dead, but I mean, that was a serious shot, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it got her right in the chest area.
And I do think
Upper chest.
it's I I do think it's the latter. I mean there's no way that with this creative team with the main characters that they've set up to do this long and hard journey, she's out in the first issue. It kind of left me with a sense of like, how are they going to get out of this? It looked
Yeah.
like those were maybe Confederates? Like, I don't know. Like,
Was it a
looked like-
shotgun? Because it could be buckshot.
I don't know.
No.
You know, I didn't get a
I
good
thought
look
it
at
went
the gun.
It was not a shotgun for those interested.
It goes through her.
Straight through.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And I mean, you just see these two looming, scary as hell figures. I don't know. I kind of was left with a pretty good deal of anticipation as to how they were going to get out of it.
It would be certainly a disservice. Can you imagine having a book that has Kill Whitey in the name and then killing the strong black female lead in the first issue.
I kind of hoped
that would be a bad look.
I kind of hoped that they were setting up some weird type of like Kill Bill, except for not samurai, just like Civil War era.
It did seem like that, but then there just like wasn't that much that happened. There was a lot of hype on this book, especially because it like got optioned or whatever, and I like read it and I was like, that's it? Like, okay, it's interesting that she frees a slave and they get out of like whatever the slave holdings to like pursue this adventure, but
I think she frees a slave as much as
she's not
convinces the slave
to help her
go along with her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And agrees to like be her cover if they get caught.
Right. The only reason that Hattie's doing this is because she's headed up north and slaves are free up there. So she's like, listen, I'm not staying down here where I'm going to be treated as a slave. I'll go with you because it's the best option I got right now.
The fact that this got optioned probably tells us that this is going to get really good. I would hope, at least. This is a trap a lot of comics fall into, where I feel like the first issue did essentially for me what reading the synopsis did for me.
Yeah.
And that's a bad sign. It's a tough way to get people to buy the second issue. But it doesn't mean that the story isn't going to be great. It just means that we weren't virtuosos about putting together the first issue with like the hook that is really going to get you to keep going.
Because if you don't know that this is optioned, what about this comic book gets you to pick up number 2?
I like the character. I like the leads.
Okay.
And I like the setting. And I like the hook for me was the end.
Yeah.
I have no idea how they're going to escape. She's a good shot, but like they have guns pointed in their faces.
I felt like I wanted to get, if this is going to be like a kick-ass revenge story, I wanted to see something that was going to make the revenge really good.
I also want to like them to demonstrate that they're badasses, which I didn't really get.
I don't think they're supposed to be.
They're just kind of...
They have no reason to be.
Yeah.
I think the world doesn't really probably expect much out of either of them. You get that with her mom on the train.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just act like you're better than you are, and you'll get a fancy husband.
Yeah, right.
That gives you what you need. And I think Hattie probably doesn't know any more than I've just got to get to where that people treat me as a person.
Yep.
Giving the historical context of it, it's just like you'll do anything to get out of the situation of being somebody's property as a human.
But
it's just like, I don't care if I die or not. I'm not going to fucking die here. I'm going to die on my own terms.
Once you connect, and if they can connect in later, because this is not a long series to do it in.
Yeah.
If they
would you
can
say
connect,
5?
That anger and that desperation to some actual skill sets, or if they come into a position of power, it might be dope to watch them come back and get what they want. I think most of my hype on this book is promise of what's to come and not substance in the first.
Right. This is one of those things too where hype can do a disservice for me sometimes because I was so familiar with this conceptually that there just weren't really many surprises for me once I got to it.
Like maybe if you didn't know that she...
I think if I had no context for
this book
and read the book, I probably would have fucking loved it. But I knew the whole deal.
I didn't know a thing about it till I opened it.
Yeah, that I wish I would have gone in blind.
All right, and now we got 20XX by Jonathan Luna and Lauren Keeley. Hey, Caitlin, what is 20XX about?
This book is about a post-apocalyptic view of a society similar to our own, set in Alaska, where...
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Anchorage, where a disease has wiped out a huge portion of the population. But for those that this disease doesn't kill, it does make much stronger with powers that, you guessed it, become immediately feared and sanctioned and ostracized by the norms without powers.
I loved this book. I liked it a lot.
I wanted to ask you guys about the X-Men parallel of one of the last books we read and how we kind of felt like it didn't do anything really new or different than what a lot of books do with powered people, and they become ostracized and
This
politicized.
was Heart Attack, right?
Yes.
Heart Attack, right?
Not Heartbeat.
Not Heartbeat. The wrong book that Budget King read. How did you guys feel this did as a X-Men inspired sort of tale?
I didn't see it as much about X-Men because it's more about like this disease that a lot of people just like get, whereas like X-Men is a mutation that the whole like it could kill you and it kills most people thing.
Yeah,
really
reads more
like
horror.
like affects society. And like when she honestly, I guess I knew she was gonna survive, but it didn't quite occur to me really quickly. Like they did that really well. It felt like a plague book at first. It felt like Outbreak at first, and then it became about the like telekinesis or whatever power they had.
This might sound really dumb. The reason I didn't connect it with any of the X-Men or any of those similar kind of iterations of the same themes was because it's in black and white and the art was so totally different that I my brain just wasn't going to make that jump.
It didn't feel superhero-y.
So the Jonathan Luna art, who is like I guess famous, kind of probably most recently known for like Alex and Ada, is super like disconcerting. It's really weird. Like it almost looks like digital, but it's not. I like it a lot, but it's very, very stylized.
Yeah.
And then this book is in black and white, like Caitlin said, which like after 3 pages, I was like, oh, okay. I don't. Did you guys see a justification for it being in black and white?
No.
But it didn't bother me.
Yeah. It was one of those things I thought maybe the intro scene or prelude was like a flashback that was in black and white. And then as I kept going, I was like, oh, wow, it hasn't changed to color. In the back write-up, they say, like, this is a new step for us as creators. Like, this is so-and-so's first, comic they're writing and my first, black and white.
I thought it was a fun story, though. Like, it actually was long. You get a lot of bang for your buck with this. And, like, there was a lot happening, and it was fun to, like, kind of explore different aspects of it all.
It was more along the lines of like the feel of like a graphic novel, I think, because of that style choice.
Yep.
It did feel like a graphic novel. I think there's a lot of like future aspects. There's like super stylized. There's a lot here. Like even the way they do the beginning setup with like this fight through like sending knives, like the Yondude, like knives, or what's the name?
You got it right.
Yeah, but what's the name of his arrow that he has? Like
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, dang, yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, Yondu
Milk thistle.
The whistle thing.
Yeah, he can whistle and make an arrow go around. They can like do that with knives, and they have a little fight, and then then it goes into Plague World. I just think it was weaved really nicely.
Those are the people coming after her cousin.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
I
Death
just now
Eaters.
realized that.
Yeah, that was a really clever thing to
Dang.
start the book with the culmination of things at the end. And then you realize, oh, that scene is tying into the story
we're at
I've
now.
been reading.
It didn't even take me out of it. I
Yeah.
mean, and I just now realized that.
I really liked it because there was this kind of subtle conversation about climate control and how the permafrost is all melted away and Alaska's shoreline is, being eroded and eaten away, but that there was this like ancient virus that was trapped in the permafrost, which caused this big plague that's affecting the world now. I don't know if I'm interested or confused about how this virus now gives people the power of telekinesis and like the ability just to like.
Well, it
move.
kills 99% of everybody.
Well, I understand that, but like when you win the plague virus lottery, you get these incredible powers. And then they treat it like the DMV. They're just like, congratulations, you are not dead. You actually have these powers now. On Tuesday, you will be sent an email to attend these workshops to figure out which powers you have and
So
how
you
to.
can never use them.
So you can never use them again.
Yeah, that was the interesting and dynamic thing about it is that, you won the lottery on
Not
being alive at the same time you are now a second-class citizen.
They have to regulate it, like they know.
No, I get why they like, but it was just so funny how it's just like
It was very sterile.
yeah,
Like
it's like
just like a transaction kind of.
I like when books take crazy fantasy concepts like this and then bring them down to earth. Like, how would people really handle something like this? They would be afraid. They would position it as something bad that, we as the public would hate.
Right.
And register the fuck out of it and mandate as much of it as they could.
One thing I was thinking about is like, so she gets like an app that says like, here's how you're going to discover your powers. And it's like, try doing these things. And I was thinking about like the person that wrote that app had to also be a sim.
Probably.
Control your emotions.
Because they would know those things.
Or they work for the government that has worked through it enough.
And it's interesting because, it's like, that's a good point. I assumed it was a person that had been. But if I have those powers, I'm not going to go get a job for the government where I wrote code for an app.
If you made that app?
Or like, if I was...
Oh, if you're a sim.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fuck that. But that's where the thing of like fear and like you're isolated and you're like, I'll do whatever I can to make myself feel normal.
Well, and I wonder if they put them through trials and gathered information, and that's how they did that book.
Yeah.
Instead of...
That's true.
Oh, that's a good point.
Like a
Rather
witch
than
hunt.
like a nice person writing
Someone
it.
who studies them wrote it. Yeah.
I thought it was
An horror.
super awesome when it's like she wakes up and she was about to get a promotion, but she finds out she doesn't get the promotion and she doesn't even have a job. And the other person's like, ooh, I really got to go though. Like that was, I don't know.
I think that'll play back in.
Yeah.
Do-
Anyway, this book is fun. I really enjoyed Girls and the Sword, which were two stuff that Jonathan Luna had like made before. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
Just that initial shock of like, she was literally on her way to work, bam, gets the virus in the hospital, almost dead for 3 days.
Yeah. I do
The
like,
idea that can happen to you and is a much more real way to implement this kind of outbreak rather than cut to 10 years later when we just assume and we know we get all this
Yeah.
information at once that the world has dealt with the plague.
And the way that they explain that people just die is like in a conversation right before she gets sick. Like they don't just they don't just be like, hey, 99% of people die. Like you live it, you watch it, and like it was written really well.
It was. You could tell this is someone who knows how to write a fucking comic.
Yeah.
I hate things that just give us too much setup or not enough setup. This handled it perfectly.
do we get any clues of why this book is called 20XX?
It's in the future, maybe.
I don't know. I have
Well, it is,
no
but
idea.
It's definitely,
That's a good
it's definitely
question.
in the future because there's a robot hand.
Right. And she doesn't have a cell phone. She has a fucking implant in her
Alexa.
head.
An Alexa in her head.
Yeah.
So yeah, 20XX is like, I don't know. Besides it saying that it's the future, you're right. It doesn't make any sense. Title surge in that, get nowhere.
The X's are X's over your eyes because in the 2000s you'll die from this virus.
Ooh.
I mean, I think it could be both.
Oh,
Some combination of
maybe it's that Vin
Death and
Diesel is
disease.
dead, so it's like double X instead of triple X.
It's a reach. It's
the
it
first.
was a reach.
The
but
first X has died, but the two X's
Yeah,
still got a little time left.
20XX. Yeah,
Wouldn't that be funny if they were just like, we didn't want to pigeonhole this into a year because it's probably not going to happen in that designated year.
so we just it's not 2099. It's
20XX.
something.
That way, if it happens anytime in the 2000 and somethings,
then this book will
we got it
spec.
right.
It's like a choose your own adventure.
yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe this book is called 201010.
It could be.
For what reason?
What reasons do any of us do anything?
In the
Gregory?
year 2 million.
I wanted to talk about the crazy sim bar.
Go ahead.
There's a point in the comic when she is like realizes this happened to her. Imagine waking up and being like, I am now ostracized. What do I do? And there's a drunk sim in the bar that eggs her on and is just like, oh, doe-eyed girl coming into the bar, now that she's one of these people and you're trying to like find identity in us, but before you thought we were all shitheads like everybody else. And the tirade he goes on, I thought was well written. He was a great drunk in a bar.
Do you think that was written like the author was just like, here's what you're probably thinking right now this story is going to be?
Yeah.
Like, and I'm going to say it through this drunk. idiot.
Yeah.
Guess what? It's not going to be that. And you're just like, so me as a reader reading that was just like, oh, okay, well, never mind.
Well, it was an interesting way to get like the culture's perception of what's happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And do it really fast.
And also to further push her to needing to find some kind of connection.
Yep.
Not finding it easily. Needing to take it where she can.
It appears that our lead's power, too, is to just rip people's skin off.
Oh my God, that last panel
Totally
was
face
sick.
Yeah, blow up people's heads.
Yeah.
Fucking crazy.
She can make skeletons out of people.
In an instant.
What's my power, you say? Well, let me show you your skeleton.
It'd be bad if a baby had that.
Oh, no.
It would be
That's
bad.
true.
Well, you know, Mother, I think I will have another bottle. And you'll be going to bed.
Forever.
Your insides are now outsides.
I made mommy forever sleep.
Ooh, that one
That's
was
a
just-
spooky baby.
Ouch. Papa sleeps in the grass now.
In his bones.
Yeah. I saw Father's bones.
There's many things to be intrigued by moving forward and where we think this book might or could go. My top thing is that she can make people's skin fly off.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that power bonkered this up to just a whole other level. It's like, what's she going to do with it?
Did
like,
she put
it's
him in a
got-
microwave?
Yeah, like it's got to be key to like the narrative moving forward, right? There was probably a very conscious decision in making her power what it was. So she's just moving a lot of someone's things.
Off of their other things.
Yeah, right.
You know what I don't like about you? Your skin on your bones.
I think
Boom.
I think it's what you can move. There's a show Misfits where all these did you watch it?
No, is it good?
It's really, really good.
I've heard
But
of
there's
it, never watched
There's
it.
this kid in
I
it
wanted to see
who
it.
becomes like a villain for an episode because his power, he wants to be famous like a bunch of other people, and his power is like it's only telekinesis with milk and milk-based products. And it's just funny. Like that would be the shittiest, like obviously like, oh cool, you can make something curdle in someone's stomach. Like
He's like the Glob Herman of...
he ends up being a pretty bad guy, but like it's just funny. Like, oh, I can move this milk from this cup into that can.
Was that
Turns
show-
out
is
that
that show
wasn't
British?
pasteurized.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. This has been another episode of First Issue Club. We are a proud member of the Fountain City Frequency family of podcasts. Our music is provided by Primary Color Music. We are recorded in KCUR Studios. You can find us, rate us, friend, and follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email, and your favorite listening platforms at First Issue Club, FIRST.
You want to hear some of my hits?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cars?
No, there's one called Lady on a Bus.
Oh, boy.
You ever heard it?
Here we go.
Can I hear it?
Well, if you guys don't mind.
I'd love to, yeah.
It sounds like I got like peanut butter in my mouth.
Yeah, you do. You sound like you have no teeth.
Yeah, sorry. So, Randy, that is what it sounds like. Yeah, recently he got punched in the mouth pretty hard.
Well, he does have kind of a lisp.
I never knew that until now when I'm witnessing the impression.
Lady on a bus,
It's still, you've got a friend in me.
sitting there on the bus. Green coat and an umbrella too. Where's she going? I'm gonna follow you. Lady sitting on the bus, it's true. You're sitting there on the bus. And that was Lady on the Bus.
In its entirety?
Well, that's a snippet of it. We don't got enough time for me to get into all of them.
Randy, I'm so glad you're a fan of the podcast.
Yeah, well, I gotta go away again. Randy away.
Oh.